Welcome to Global Medical Office Dialogues. Minimizing the risk of bleeding is a critical factor in quality care management for patients with end-stage kidney disease. In part 3 of our exploration into translating science into medicine, we talk with Hanjie Zhang, biostatistician at RRI, the Renal Research Institute, and an expert in artificial intelligence and machine learning. Scientists at RRI have created a mobile application using vascular access images to identify and classify aneurysms that may pose a risk to patients. By quickly analyzing smartphone images taken by a caregiver, the app classifies the presence or severity of an aneurysm in the patient's vascular access. This app is an example of how artificial intelligence can help recognize patterns in data, automatically flag potential problems, and improve personalized patient care. So with me today is Dr. Hanjie Zhang. She was part of our process when we began to understand that aneurysms as a patient safety risk for our hemodialysis patients was really an important issue. This came up at a medical advisory board meeting that we held some year ago. Hanjie, would you talk a little bit about aneurysms and what the risks are for patients?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. So, in our hemodialysis patients, we have probably around 80% of patients, they're on the fistula graph. And when you're using fistula graph, you may develop certain complications such as aneurysm. The reason is because, for example, the repeated access in the same location 3 times a week, this could weaken the fistula wall, and this resulting in the aneurysm formation. And also, some patients have outflow stenosis, this resulting in the inflow-outflow mismatch, increases the pressure in the access. This is also leading to the aneurysm. So the incidence of aneurysm really varies by report from 5 to 60%. The most feared consequence of aneurysm is rupture, and it could lead to death. There is a study that look at the patient in New York City. They found 100 deaths from 2003 and 2011. They died because of the hemorrhage from the fistula graph. And this is about 1 death per month in New York City alone. So this is really not a rare case. And such things happens really rapidly. And most of the patients couldn't even make to the hospital. They either died at home or on the way to the hospital. So this could be a really life-threatening condition when aneurysm getting really bad.
Yeah, thank you, Hanjie. So it's been one of the things that we've recognized as the bleeding risk and its impact on patient safety in general. Tell us a little bit about the work that you and your colleagues at RRI are doing to try to address aneurysms.
Okay, so because currently, the clinical practice for the visual inspection, they require the patient to have it by the healthcare professional who is capable of doing such diagnosis or making recommendations. But, such things require the patient travel to the site. And also make appointments and such things. So it's not that easy to do it routinely, especially for patients who dialysis at home. So our project trying to do is to automate this process and minimize the traveling to the clinic. So what we are trying to do is just use the smartphone with the technology of artificial intelligence. We can automatically classify the aneurysm images, but just take a picture, no matter where. It can be in the clinic or it can be at home, and then you're going to know the aneurysm right away without going to any specific facilities.
So these techniques are image processing techniques that require a lot of advanced computing power and some techniques for trying to understand how the aneurysm is evolving over time through its image. Can you describe a little bit about what the process is and the theory behind this convolutional neural network that you're using to try to do these analyses?
Sure. So for the process, we have multiple steps. So first we need to collect images from our patients on the fistula and graph. And we use, it can be any device, iPhone, iPad, or Android device. And we want to collect images from a diverse population. So the patient have a different age, have a different skin tone, and all sorts of things. And then we're going to share with our vascular access expert, which Dr. Moret's team, these images, and then they're going to do the adjudication and diagnosis, and then they share us back the aneurysm adjudication. Because this is a very important step, because for supervised learning, we really need the ground truth. And this is the ground truth provided by our vascular access expert. And then when we receive all of this, we're going to do, separate data into training and validation. These are the standard process for machine learning, because we want to check the model performance on the independent data set which has been used for training. And then because we use different device for collecting the images, and we receive images have a different resolution, different size, and all kind of things. So we need to standardize all of them, and then we're going to feed this standardized image into our convolutional neural network. So convolutional neural network is the algorithm we are using to build our project. So it is one kind of deep learning algorithms. It is widely used for computer vision, for image classification, for face recognition. This is the same technology you are using right now for unlock your phones. So for convolutional neural network, it has 3 layers. So first layer is the input layer, which is just the image itself. And then the second layer is the hidden layer. The hidden layer involve a lot of things. So they have multiple convolution layer, pooling layer, and dense layer. And then the last layer is the output layer. So for our case here, it's just the aneurysm classification results.
So when we think about these aneurysms and we think about what this application might look like, can you describe sort of what the application workflow would be once you have enough images that you can actually validate this particular model?
Yeah. So currently we are actually collecting more image right now in the RE clinics. So when we get roughly, I would say, over 1,000 images, and we are going to share with the vascular access expert, like I just mentioned, with Dr. Moret's team, and then we're going to do the process I just talked about. And also we are, we already built the app. So this app, we have 2 phases. So first phase is the training flow. So for the training flow, during this time, the clinician take an image in the clinic. They upload it, but they are not going to receive the feedback right now. So all these images will go to the AWS, which is the Amazon Web Service platform. And then all these images going to be stay there, and we follow the process. We train our algorithm, and we optimize it, and we find the best algorithm, and we could host it on the AWS platform. And then the next phase will be the real-time flow. So during the real-time flow, the clinicians take an image and they upload it, and then this time they're going to see the feedback. So this is the thing we are working right now.
And as you think about this, you're requiring fairly advanced computing, high performance computing, and the cloud environment. Can you describe the technical nature of what's required there and how you've begun to interact between these images and the cloud processing that's occurring?
Yes. So yes, the computation power is really something important for this project, because the training require really a large number. So I actually did this initially on my HPC. It really couldn't work. And then that's why we use this, currently we use the AWS SageMaker. So this is a new platform, but it couldn't be another cloud platform also. So what we did is we have everything set up on the cloud. So this is really a lot of help from Zuen's IT team. So they help us set up everything on the cloud platform, and we have our algorithm trained over there. because currently we could use the GPU on the cloud to really improve our computation. Used to be training hours and even days. Right now we could train it on several minutes, and also the result, if you do image classification of one image, it could be just come back within seconds. So this cloud computation really provides us the capability to scaling up our model deployment. It could be from 1,000 patients to hundreds of patients, and also it could become real time. So really within a second, you can have your result back.
So you've begun capturing images at this point. Tell us a little bit about the stage of the process you're in. How many images have you begun to capture and analyze at this point? And what do you think the timeline is for getting the app essentially ready to be piloted?
So currently we collect about, I would say so far 700 images. I already sent these images to our vascular access expert. So they are doing the adjudication right now. So I'm waiting for that, and then I could do the training. But we did some testing pilot before. So that was using a much smaller patient population, but that time we collect videos, so we extract frames from these videos. So it helped us to build a relatively reasonable size of image data set. So I did training use that one already, and our pilot study works pretty well. The accuracy on the validation data set is about 800%, so it's very promising at the current time point, and we are really looking forward to receive the adjudication from our Dr. Moretta's team, and I could work on this new data set. Hopefully we could refine our algorithm even better.
Great. When we think about smartphones and these sort of daily applications that we use, do you think that there's a that there are various versions of the smartphone, and I'm curious, is the image quality from older phones equivalent to those that would be with the new smartphones, or do you have to, would people have to get something they don't have today to actually use this?
Yes, it's a very good question. So currently we are using any phone or device is fine, because even the old version of the phone, the resolution is still pretty okay. And for this training process, we didn't really have to require high resolution. We actually standardized that to a much lower resolution. It's one reason is also because if you reduce the resolution, the computation going to be much faster, and also you're going to require much less. So it's easier to standardize for all the processes, because future maybe we do it not only in US, also in other countries. We really want to make this more robust, so it's have less requirement on the hardware part. So it's just a regular resolution. It's okay for us. Yeah.
So as we think moving forward on this image analysis that you have been spearheading, what are some of the other applications that you would see potentially for use of this same kind of image analysis that you're currently using on aneurysms?
Yes. So there is actually a lot of idea going on what we could do use the image analysis. For example, you may be aware of in Lens Group, they are currently trying to check the food ulcer, because we did the monthly visit for the diabetes fit checks. So we could check the images, and then we could try to see if we could be able to identify food ulcer much earlier than current practice. So it's one possibility. So the other possibility is you may know in RI we do a lot of research related to metabolomics. So for the metabolomics, they measure some of the molecular expression level, and you may see a lot of heat maps was plotted for the patient's metabolomics profile. So we are thinking of, we could try to build algorithm could go through automatically this metabolomics profile of each patient, and try to see if we can cluster certain group of patients or associate certain profile with certain outcomes. things. And besides this, we also think a lot of this. Maybe we could also utilize some additional sensor which you build into the iPhone or like any other device. Maybe these sensors can measure more things rather than the regular images. For example, they may be able to get the temperature from the skin, all such of things, and then we analyze the this kind of images. It's different, but it's still image processing. So to do a lot of more things.
Well, I think that these advanced analytic techniques and this artificial intelligence that you're using is quite fascinating. And I think, again, in our organization, it is one of those things that we do not strictly to try to advance the understanding of how to use AI, but actually to create actual tools for our clinicians and physicians and nurses to use. And so I would thank you very much for this description of what the work is and what you're doing, and would ask if you have any other final comments or thoughts around how artificial intelligence might actually help our clinical care for our patients at Fresenius Medical Care.
Sure. Thank you. I think first I want to thank you, and also thanks all the people working for this project, because this is actually a lot of people involved in. So I really want to thank them. So second, I want to say is, artificial intelligence is really useful, and it really helps us, to see beyond what we can see with our naked eyes. There is a lot of potential we could do, and especially with the cloud platforms, really enable us to really do a lot of advanced analytics in a really large scale and in high speed, actually in real time. So there's a lot of possibilities we could do here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Hanjie Zhang, for joining me today on our dialogue series. And Hanjie, good luck with the rest of the work on aneurysm identification.
Thank you so much for having me here today. Thank you.